Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Thanks so much for joining me here on the channel today. And today we're working on the Jetta. In preparation of our move, I'm trying to just go down my punch list of things to do between taking care of the house, the dog, and this car. I need to be sure that I get everything done before the end of January. So today what we're going to do is we're actually going to replace this. This is an AGM Platinum Die-Hard battery from Advanced Auto Parts. And today, I'm going to show you how to put it in here. So, let's do it. Okay, so a little bit of a backstory here. I took this vehicle into Volkswagen of Spartanburg a couple of weeks ago where they did an oil change and a few other services that I had asked them to do. And along with that, they tested the battery for me because I wanted to be sure that this vehicle was ship-shape by the time we move, and that gave me a little bit of time to get everything together, and that brings me to this video. The battery tested bad in this car. They tested it 3 times, and each time it kept going down and down and down. Now the car does run. You saw me drive it in under its own power, but the issue ultimately is that it's just one thing that's in my mind that has to be taken care of, and I'm going to take care of that right now. So you already saw the battery, but a couple of the things that you're going to need for this job is a terminal brush. This is kind of an interesting little tool that has like a 2-in-1 brush set. One to clean out the cable ends, the clamps that go around the battery posts, and then you also have this end which goes around the post itself, which I probably won't need this time since we're using a brand new battery. Also, a little bit of terminal protector. This stuff prevents corrosion. It did pretty good. Last time I used it, it turns everything red, so you kind of know what's going on. And it's not that expensive, and it saves you ultimately a lot of hassle, especially if you're dealing with a lot of corrosion. So I'm going to open this car up, and let's get some tools together, and then we'll start the disassembly process. All right, so now that I have you guys set up in this tripod over here next to the car, I'm going to make this a single clip so that way you can see everything that I'm kind of thinking and going through in my mind and kind of narrating as I go without any jump cuts of any kind. So in an effort to prepare, I brought out my tool bag. This tool bag actually lives in the trunk of this car. It's got an entire tool set in it that I kind of gathered with a bunch of sockets and wrenches and, you know, there's a couple sets in there, odds and ends pieces that I managed to put together and kind of just keep in this car. So let's do this. So the battery in this car is located underneath this little felt protector. I don't know if it's felt or not, but it feels soft and it feels fuzzy. So we're just going to take that off and we're going to expose this battery here. So this is the battery that is testing as bad, and it looks like this is the positive terminal and this is the negative, or the ground as it's called. And this battery, I'm trying to see how old it is because it came with the car, but I don't know, I don't really see a date on here. You know, I thought there'd be a date code on there. There's some kind of a number here, but it doesn't look like a date code. But anyway, basically this is an H6, so this is a group size of H6. And what you need to do is when you go in to get a battery, you have to make sure that you get one from the same group. They have 3 or 4 different kinds of batteries, and if you go into an Advanced AutoZone, which is where I went, they have 4 of them. They have kind of a silver, gold, and platinum, and then they have, I think, the AGM batteries, which is actually what I got for this car. It was a little bit more pricey. It was roughly around $300, but AGM can withstand climates a little bit better, and it's supposed to be better. So this is my first AGM battery that I'm putting in. So I'm going to see how all of that works kind of moving forward. All right, so from what I remember from 10th grade shop class, you remove the ground side first. So let's see if we can find a wrench here. I'm going to start with the old trusty 10 mil because I do remember, oh, look at that. Perfect. And that was loose. So I'm wondering if that was part of our problem, but let's take this off and we move on. All right, ground has been removed. And now make sure that that doesn't touch any metal. Because otherwise, if this were to touch that same metal, you'll have fireworks. And we don't want that. So we make sure that everything is kept isolated. Then we just remove the other one here. All right, put that right there. Okay, so we know that in this vehicle, the battery terminals are tied down with a 10 millimeter wrench. So here comes the fun part, and this is where I hope and pray that I don't hurt my back, and that is to pull the battery out. And actually, as I'm talking to you, I did find the date code. It's down here. It says 10/23, which means this is from October of 2023. Historically, I think I've only had car batteries last 2 to 3 years max. So, you know, 2.5 years. It's not bad. It's not great, but I also don't know how long this battery sat before I bought the car. This battery is the one that was in this vehicle when I bought it, and who knows, I don't know. This car came from the West Coast, so there could be a whole bunch of you know, heat issues or whatever that, you know, now this battery's like, hey, I'm giving up the ghost, I'm done, clock me out. So all right, so I'm gonna pull this out, see if I can do this without hurting myself. Ooh, I think it's strapped down to something because I think I need to get a light or something. All right, I've got a flashlight here. So let me see if this thing's strapped down. Oh, actually, I think this vehicle has a battery lock of some kind over here because I don't know how to get this out of here. So let's do some digging here and find out. So there are little hold downs on this side that hold the battery in. So I'm wondering if I need to overcome those hold downs by let's see. You know what? I do see something down there that looks like it might need me to remove a bolt right down there. Let me see if I can move this camera in to show you. Forgive the shakiness. We're going mobile. So down there, I don't know if you guys can see that bolt but looks like it's holding down this battery. Also on this side, there's little hold downs to kind of hold the battery in place. So let's see what I can figure out here, because it might just be a matter of what's this? Oh, I must have just popped that off or something, because I don't know if I leaned up on it or what, but okay. Weirdness. Trying to figure out how all this goes, and all this other stuff is just falling apart. Okay. That goes like that. And then this comes forward. Yep, there it goes. Just clips in. Okay. Back to this. Let's see if I can get a couple of extensions here. So we get some sockets out. Is that long enough? No, it is not. Maybe this will be long enough. Will that be long enough? Yep, that'll be long enough. But now, my question to you is, what size is that? Is that maybe, let's bring my stool over here. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to start with, see if I can find, this is a German vehicle. I'm wondering if all of the sockets are in metrics. So there is a metric set in here, but it's not organized. So I'm going to need to find whichever one we're dealing with. This one here is a 17 millimeter, but I think that's too big. I'm going to try to start with maybe here's a 15. Maybe a 15, you reckon? Here's a deep well 15, which I don't think I need, but there it is. Here's a 14. And here's a 12. I think the 12 is too small. And actually, to be honest, I think the 14 is too small too. So let's do the 15 deep. So we're gonna plug that on there. Made it a nice long wrench. And then I'm going to go through here onto that bolt. And then we're going to set this for remove. And I think that's too big. Oh no. I lost the end of that. Can I reach it? Oh. So, note to self, get better tools. All right, so it's probably not that. This one's 14 mil. I'm kind of disappointed that this just comes out like that, super easy. So it appears that that is actually loosening because it is turning. I know you guys can't see it, but forgive me for that. I'm going to try to get this out and then crap. Note to self, buy better tools. Oh man, that one fell all the way in there. I'm wondering if now I'm going to have to remove the intake to get that out. Or maybe these will help. There we go. Okay. Got that. Now, this should be loose, whatever that is. Let's see if I can wiggle this free. And of course, I love the fact that this hood brace is right here and not like somewhere here or on the side. Got to leave it to the Germans, or they could have just made it a spring release or a spring supported, so that way it didn't, you know, need this. But that's neither here nor there. All right. Guess what? We got it out. Put this right here. Okay. So, let me move this a little bit. Actually, I don't have to move it because it looks like you guys have a good focus on what's going on here. So this piece right here is the one that I had to undo that bolt for, and it does move out of the way. So I didn't pull it out all the way, I just loosened it. That's the bolt I was working on right there. And I have no idea what this is, but it does have some cables coming out of it. Here's one, there's one down here, and there's this one up here. So I don't know. I'm not messing with that though. We shall leave that be. And this battery ground goes right here to the chassis. Can you guys see that? Here, let me swing you over a little bit. Right there. So there's your ground, and there's your positive. So we'll just sit you back here. Let's see what we can do. So for the record, the AGM battery, I think, in my general opinion, is pretty heavy. I think it's heavier than the normal battery, at least in my opinion. I might be wrong. I'm not going to weigh it. You know, I'm not going to put it on a scale or anything, but yeah. So this is that fancy brush that I was telling you about. You can brush the terminals of the battery with this end, or this part comes off and you have yourself a cable end brush. This brush you can go into these parts right here and literally, okay, sorry, without kicking you guys, you can go in here and give it a nice cleaning. Make sure it's nice and spotless in there. Gives you the best connecting capacity. So that one looks pretty clean. And then we'll do the other one too. Trying to makes kind of a funny musical noise. All right, I think those are those are good. We'll cover this up. This just goes back together like that. Line up that little detent there with the cap, and then it comes back on, and that's it. Put that in your toolbox. And just keep it with you in the car. So that way if you're ever stranded and your battery dies, you can clean the terminals. So as for this this little spray here, it's not required. In no way is it mandatory, and in no way is it required. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove the protective cap on the battery, and I just did that down here so that way I didn't have to mess with it while it's in there. And I wasn't sure how this was clipped. It looks like it's just snapped in by those two posts right there. And there's a little end post right here, which looks like it's supposed to come off, but I don't know. We'll leave it. I'll put that right there for now. Please remind me that I put that there and I don't drive away with it. Kidding. I'm not going to do that. All right. So we know the orientation of the battery is ground on that side, positive, or hot on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the new battery into view, and it's going to go this way. But stupid me left this cable out, so now I can't get the battery in. I hope I don't kick the tripod. If I do, I apologize. Like I said, I'm not editing this part, so all right, no, I did not break that. So now let me put this into the right spot. I need some kind of a flathead to push this out of the way. Now, whatever you do, do not, I remind you, do not short the battery terminals together because, oh, there it goes. And now my fingers are stuck. Jesus. All right. Don't short the terminals. Keep repeating that. Because boom shakalaka will not be a welcome event here today. Let's make sure we're in. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten down that bolt down there, which I'm still thinking that it's a, whatchamacallit. Hold on. What did I do with the, oh, I threw it in here. I'm still convinced that that's a 14 mil socket, but I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly come down here and I'm going to just capture that, flip that over, and slowly tighten it. Actually, you know what? It might be a 12 mil because it's kind of skipping. It's jumping around. Well, let me see if I can get a, where's that deep well? Here's that deep well 12 that I had on it. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it might be smart to put some electrical tape on this union. It comes apart way too easy, so electrical tape would hold that down. Unfortunately, I do not have any, and so I'm going to have to just do this as carefully as possible. Okay. Oh, look at that. It came out. All right, so what did we do? So we put the battery in. We tightened this guy down as much as we could. Actually, it looks like I didn't do anything. So let me go back to that. And you know what? Where's the other one? I'm gonna try this. I'll try the 14 mil again. Actually, you know what? 14 seems to fit right on. So actually, you know what? It might be like 13. It fits right on, but it's jumping around. So let me see if I have a 13 in here. As I drop everything. That's a 15. So let's see. What's this one? This one's a 13. So let's try 13. Okay, so 13 is no longer jumping around. And I tightened it. Give it a snug. Snug as a bug. Okay, good. Now, I'm gonna bring you guys into the shot to inspect my work. So let me bring you here, lift this up a little bit, and then we're gonna zoom in here. And then we're gonna bring you back down, and I'm gonna put you right here. It's a little tough to do because, you know, this thing's in the way, but let's see if we can figure out what's what. So over here, right behind this doodah, is this guy. Let me see if you guys can see. Yeah, this guy right here, just on the end of the battery. That's tight, and the battery is tight. So now what we do is we go backwards, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to put you guys over here next to me. Now that we know that the battery is in a good spot. So effectively, we got to find the grounding cable. And here it is. And we just have to make sure that there's nothing touching that post. So put the ground on. I'm going to give it a little love tap with the butt end of my pliers. That's rubber. That way it's all the way down. Seems like it's all the way down, but I don't think so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that wrench that I saved up here, this guy, and I'm gonna loosen this a little bit more and see if this will go down a little bit more. That's it. You know, I think this, yeah, it does. I see it here. This battery has tapered posts, so I think it'll only go to a certain level and then it'll stop. So finger tightness, because this is as loose as it's going to be. And then we're just going to righty-tighty this baby. So for a little bit further context, and from what I understand, AGM batteries are lead acid batteries. They're not like lithium or anything. The technology inside of them is a little bit different, and essentially what it gives them is a little bit more kick if you like listening to music with the engine off, like if you're sitting and waiting for somebody, or in more extreme climate, forgive the English, in more extreme climates, you'll get, you know, the batteries just put into harsher conditions. So this is supposed to, you know, survive a little bit better. This is a 760 cold cranking amps. I think the last battery was, let me read it off the label. Walk over here. This battery here was 730 cold cranking amps at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and then cranking amps at 32 was 910. 910 amps at 32 degrees. This one is 760 at cold cranking amps, and it's a 70 amp hour battery. So yeah, this is supposed to exceed that battery by quite a margin. So if we did this right, and I think we did, ground on ground, and you should verify this. There's an indicator right here. I don't think you can see it, but it's right there. That indicates that this is the positive terminal. And we know this is the positive lead because this goes to the breakers, or fuses, I guess, and that goes right to the chassis here. So we're gonna put this on, and make sure you put it on quickly because it arcs when you make the connection. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna tap it on with like the butt end of a screwdriver, just to make sure it's seated all the way. Okay, give it a couple of love taps with a plastic handle. Don't use anything hard, like an actual hammer or anything like that, because this stuff is very soft. And you don't want to damage the battery that you just paid $300 for, or more, depending on what market you're in. Or I guess less too, if you're in a market that sells these for less. Okay, snug it up, nothing crazy. Okay, that's tight, that's tight. And now the only thing that's left, clean up after yourself. I'm actually gonna hold on to that just in case. Put it in the tool bag, doesn't hurt anything. And now, the last thing I'm gonna do is, so some cars have a little plastic thing right here that goes over the positive. This one doesn't. This one has this flap. So what I'm gonna do is enter the terminal protector, and we're just gonna give it a couple of squirts. Maybe. Oh, there it goes. And that's it. According to the instructions, it says apply after battery has been connected, and shake can well, clean away, which we already did with a corrosion brush, and then apply even coat to freshly cleaned hold down bottle, blah blah blah, brackets and terminals. For preventative maintenance, reapply when red film turns clear. When finished spraying, clean valve by turning cap upside down and pressing actuator until only propellant escapes. Oh, I guess if you're cleaning the spray bottle there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do that on the negative terminal too, because it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, put that in the tool bag. Now we're going to apply the pillow, because why not? I hope that I am able to get this all in here, because that is, wait, maybe it goes this way, because I don't remember how this went, and I don't want to mess around with that. Oh, I think that's it, because it happened to slip on. All right. All right, I'm just going to put that like that. And I guess this is to prevent any short circuits or anything. And honestly, that's better than nothing. I'm going to leave it like that. It's close enough. I know it's not perfect, but it is what it is. I did the best I could. So that concludes this part of the video. Let me turn you guys around and we'll close this out. Okay, forgive the interruption, but I forgot to mention two important points during the video. So the first one is I never disclaimed in the beginning of the video that I am not an automotive mechanic. In fact, I am not a mechanic of any kind. I am a network engineer by profession. I'm a musician by choice, and I'm a lighting designer by hobby. So have it for what you will, but if you're going to attempt this, please make sure that you be careful. Working on a battery that has the capabilities to put out 1,000 amps or whatever, you just got to be careful. There's no light way to sugarcoat this, but you can really get yourself hurt if you're in a pickle, or if you get yourself in a pickle. So keep that in mind. If you're not certain, don't risk it. Certainly don't do it for fun. And take the car to a service center or whatnot and get it done professionally. This is one of those things that, can really bite you if you don't do it right. So again, not a mechanic. Do this at your own risk, okay? Thank you. That's number one. Number two is I failed to mention during the video, and I just remembered while I was putting the video together on my computer, that this cap that was originally on the battery, besides having a QR code for installation instructions, which I neglected reading, it also has this little thing on the end. And I completely glossed over it originally, so I'm going to kind of point it out what it is now. Most newer vehicles have vented battery gas discharge tubes that hook onto the side of the battery and route the hydrogen gas that may be formed inside the battery to the outside of the vehicle. So this usually happens if you have the battery installed inside the passenger cabin. So if you have an application where the battery is either inside the trunk or inside the compartment, inside the cabin, right? You want to vent those hydrogen gases because, number one, they're toxic, and number two, think of the Hindenburg disaster, right? So what this plug is for, this plug is to plug the opposite end of the battery that you're not using with a vent tube. So most batteries come with two vent holes, one that's on the right side, on the positive side, and one that's on the negative or the ground side. Whichever one you're not routing to the vent tube gets this plug. You break it off and you just kind of wedge it in there. This prevents those gases from venting in the immediate vicinity of the battery. My battery is installed under the hood, and I believe with all the fans and everything that's running under there, that there's plenty of ventilation to, disperse any hydrogen buildup or discharge gases that may be formed in the battery during heavy loads or charging or whatnot. I will consider installing a gas discharge, but I won't do it without VW's guidance. My car currently does not have it. There's no tube that goes into the battery. It was designed at a time when AGM didn't exist, and I think a lot of the sealed lead acid batteries of the day, they're sealed. They don't need vent holes. So be that as it may, something for your consideration. Definitely don't throw this cap away. If you did, then that's okay. You can buy these plugs online or go to your local auto parts store and ask them for these caps. I'm sure they're not that expensive, but I'm sorry I glossed over that, and I should have been a little bit more thorough in my original installation. I was just all over the place, and I missed that detail, so forgive me, and I guess back to the video. All right, so we have successfully replaced this battery, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut this lid, remove my flashlight first before I slam the lid down, and then I'm going to start the car up, make sure it runs. So give me a second. Let's start this baby up. Okay, so after I started the engine up, it looks like a couple of lights have appeared. So I'm going to turn the car off, and I'm going to read the manual, and let's see what happens. So as it turns out, I was wrong. Right here it says in the owner's manual, connect the positive cable first and then the negative cable. So we went backwards. But I think that is in an effort to avoid sparks, which is what I pointed out earlier. But anyway, it says after the battery is connected and the ignition is switched on, different indicator lights may light up. They should go out after you drive a short distance at 10 to 12 miles per hour. If the indicator lights do not go out, contact an authorized VW dealer or a service facility to have the vehicle checked. If the battery was disconnected for a long time, the next scheduled service may not be correctly calculated and displayed. The maximum permissible service and maintenance intervals are shown. Booklet, warranty, and maintenance. Okay. Vehicles with push-button start, which this one is. If the ignition will not start after reconnecting the vehicle battery, lock the vehicle from the outside and unlock it again. Then try to start the ignition again. If the ignition cannot be switched on, contact OK. So we know the car starts because it started. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in the car so I don't lose it. And I'm going to take this baby out for a rip. And let's go. Let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to start the car up again. I just realized something, that this car is 2/3 of the way in the garage, which means for the first time ever, I have a garage that can actually hold a car. So I may start parking it in here. I just need to maybe move some boxes, and maybe the Blackstone needs to move, or I don't know, but we'll find out. So let's do this. Let's see what happens. Car starts up. I do have a couple of lights. I got the steering lock light, the traction control light, and my TPMS is blinking. So let's pull out and let's see what happens. Let's get some air in here. For the record, I love the way diesels sound. I left my tool bag in the garage, so I hope I'm going to close that. We're going to go around the block for a few times. I hope we won't need... Oh, look at that. The steering wheel lock already went out. So let me give the TPMS a chance to warm up. Let's drive around a little bit. I do have Duchess with me. She's back there laying down on her pad. The clock appears to have kept its time. So it does say the right time. As far as the car driving, it seems to drive great. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. Ooh. So I just noticed that when the windows were down, when the battery was disconnected, and I think the automatic windows did not return when I pulled up on the actuator. Yeah, and they won't go down either. So let me see if taking them down all the way. Okay, the driver's side seems to work. Maybe the passenger side needs a couple more times. There it goes. Okay. So let's go around the block. Oh, look at that. All the lights went out. Fortunately, I got fuel last night, so my miles per gallon average indicator and my miles driven light has reset. But that's only like 35 miles since I got fuel, so I'm not concerned about it. Also, I do mileage calculations based on odometer, not so much, the miles per hour, the trip meter. I feel like this car is driving fantastic, just like it always does. Go across the railroad tracks. Yeah, every light is out. No check engine lights. No. Well, the check engine light wasn't on. It just came on when I started the car and then went out. But the TPMS light is out. The steering wheel lock, it's got an exclamation mark with the steering wheel. That went out. The ABS light went out, or the traction control light, I guess, went out. So yeah, everything's out. So it did say to drive slow, so that's why I'm going like side streets. Nothing crazy, although I am gonna drive a little bit faster on this road here. Once I make this left over here, across these railroad tracks. All right. Ooh, that was a rough start. I was in second gear. That was a noob move. But it worked. It's very hard to stall this engine out. I stall it out sometimes in first gear when I'm on a hill or something, and I'll let the clutch out a little too fast. It'll go boop, boop, and stop, but just start it right up again, and then you're good to go. But I'm going about 45 miles per hour now on this main strip here, right past the safety offices, which is where the fire department and the police department are. And we're going to cross these tracks and head back home. All right, I'll see you guys in the garage in a few minutes. By the way, I forgot to mention, when I bought the battery, they added a core charge to it of $22. And that $22 gets refunded when you return the old battery to them, so they can rebuild it and recycle it. So make sure you do that when you're all done. Make sure that the old battery goes back to where you bought your new one so you can get some money back. All right, everybody, that concludes this video. It looks like we did a good job at changing the battery. All the car's functions work, all the lights went out, and I was able to finally, for the first time ever, fit it into the garage. So I'm really impressed by that. In fact, I could probably go forward another foot or so. But I'm able to close the garage door without slamming into the trunk lid of my car. So all right, the car's in the garage for the first time probably in its entire life. So that's great. Anyway, I'm going to sign off there. I want to thank you guys for taking the time and joining me today on this little video of replacing the vehicle 12-volt battery. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.